In this video, we're going to be talking about how Chris Hemsworth's workout plan for Thor Ragnarok and Infinity War was a little bit different than the previous Thor films. What is up, heroes? My name is Connor and welcome to Athletic Assault, where we combine superheroes and fitness to help you attack your dreams. In this video, we're going to be talking about how Chris Hemsworth's workout plan in Thor Ragnarok and Infinity War was a little bit different than the previous Thor films. First off, you have to understand what Chris Hemsworth was doing in the previous Thor films. He was training with a totally different trainer, and his whole goal for the Thor films was to get big. For the first Thor film, he looked at the comic books and realized, oh my goodness, I gotta put on some massive weight and size to play this superhero. And that's exactly what he did. When he showed up on the first day of set for the first Thor film, he was too big for the costume. He had to lose a little bit of weight to fit into the costume. So his whole mission was to put on size, put on muscle, and get a lot bigger. And so his trainer at the time said that it was honestly a simple equation. It was red meat, heavy weights, and a little bit of protein powder. So it was just a calorie surplus and lifting a lot of weight. It was a more bodybuilder type training method to look like Thor. And that sounds about right. You know, when you look at Thor in the comic books, he looks like a bodybuilder. He looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger or The Rock. He looks that big. And so Chris Hemsworth took a very good approach to looking like Thor. I would say that he achieved that comic book muscle because honestly, he's one of the biggest actors in Hollywood, and he's the biggest Avenger in my opinion. So he did a fantastic job getting into shape using that bodybuilder style. So whenever Thor Ragnarok rolled around, he wanted to do something a little bit different. One, he had a different trainer. He had one of his good friends training him, and he wanted to do something a little bit different from bodybuilding. He didn't just want to have big muscles for this film. He wanted to actually have a little bit more functionality, you know, because when you get that big and that muscular, you lose a little bit of the functionality. And so they still did a lot of the bodybuilding training regimen. They still lifted weights, a lot of strength training, but they added more functionality to his workouts. He would lift 3 to 4 times a week for no more than an hour, and they would do some strength training. So they would do some of the compound lifts like squats, bench press, deadlifts, different things like that. But then at the back half of the workouts, they would throw more body weight movements into their workouts to make it a little more functional, to make him be able to move, throw in some mobility so that he can move a little bit more. And his trainer actually said that the reason Thor Ragnarok stunts look as good as they do is because Chris Hemsworth was just more functional for this film. He could do more of his stunts for this film. It's kind of like when Chris Evans used a lot more gymnastics training when he was training for Winter Soldier. The stunts in that movie were unbelievable because he could actually do more of his stunts. And so Chris Hemsworth took that same approach. And functional training kind of has a weird reputation around fitness right now because people see it as this thing that is totally separate from strength training, when in reality it's a great combination to strength training. And honestly, all functional training is building a little more mobility. So it's just adding a little bit more range of motion, using body weight to kind of shift your weight around, helping you be able to move more fluidly. And so that's what functional training is, and that's what he added to the end of his workouts. The surprising thing to note is that Chris Hemsworth only trained 3 to 4 times a week. And I think it's a huge testament to how beneficial building a foundation is for fitness. You know, he had this big foundation because he had played Thor a couple times already. So he had this big foundation, and so he didn't have to train 5, 6 times a week. You know, he could train 3 to 4 times a week with that solid strength training program with a little bit of body weight training at the end, and that allowed him to build the size that he needed for Thor Ragnarok and Infinity War. The crazy thing is that that shirtless scene in Thor Ragnarok was not even in the script. Like, he was not training for a shirtless scene for this movie, which blows my mind because most actors, they'll train for a shirtless scene, so they'll be very, very intense for 3 months leading up to their shirtless scene. They'll shoot that shirtless scene, and then they'll kind of taper off a little bit and get back to their natural body weight, natural size of their body. Chris Hemsworth, however, for this movie wasn't even planning to do a shirtless scene. Part of that lifestyle was also his diet. He shifted from animal proteins to plant proteins. And the only reason he did that, not that one is better than the other, the only reason he did that is he was just packing on so much protein for the previous Thor film, so he was eating so much red meat, so much chicken, that he was kind of just getting sick of those foods, and so he wanted to try something new. There was no reason except for the fact that he just wanted different food. So he still ate in a calorie surplus. Question of the day: do you like doing more of a bodybuilding type workout plan where you're hitting one muscle group a day? Or do you like more functional training where you're hitting a group of muscles a day, throwing in more body weight movements and more mobility movements? Let me know in the comment section which one you prefer. Heroes, if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing and hit that bell notification so that you don't miss any of the videos. That is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later, heroes.